Lie down right now. Actually do it. Feel what's under your back, the mattress, the frame, the layers of foam or springs holding your spine off the floor. Now imagine that's gone. No frame, no cushion. Just the ground. Cold, uneven, crawling with insects, and that is where you sleep. Every single night for your entire life. That is how humans slept for almost the entirety of our existence. And yet the bed, more than the shoe, more than the chair, might be the single most universal piece of technology a human being touches. Because unlike shoes or seats, everyone lies down for roughly a third of their life. If you live to 80, you will spend close to 27 years of it horizontal, unconscious, and entirely dependent on whatever is underneath you. And today the dependency is a massive industry. The global mattress and bedding market is worth well over $100 billion a year. An object whose entire job is to hold a motionless human body for 8 hours has become one of the most fought-over purchases in a home. So the question is not just when the bed was invented. It's how a pile of leaves next to a fire turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry obsessed with memory foam and cooling gel. Here's the problem with answering that cleanly. Beds, like shoes, are made of things that vanish. Grass rots, hides decay, wood frames splinter and disappear. Unless a bed was buried in a tomb, preserved in dry sand, or literally fossilized into the ground, there is nothing left to dig up. So archaeologists are not looking for beds. They are looking for the compressed, ashy residue beds leave behind and the rare stone or metal frames wealthy people were buried with. And what that residue reveals pushes the invention of the bed back further than almost anyone expects. In 2011, researchers led by Lynn Wadley at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa excavated Sibudu Cave and found layers of compacted plant bedding, sedges, and rushes, dated to roughly 77,000 years ago. That's not just old. It's some of the oldest clear evidence of deliberate, constructed sleeping surfaces on Earth. And the bedding wasn't plain. Some layers contained leaves from a plant with natural insecticidal properties, meaning the people sleeping there weren't just piling grass on the ground. They were selecting specific plants to keep insects away while they slept, an early form of pest control folded directly into bedroom design. Later layers at the same site show the old bedding being burned and replaced with fresh material, over and over, meaning people were maintaining their beds like a piece of furniture they cared about, not just discarding a random pile of leaves. So humans were engineering sleep surfaces tens of thousands of years before agriculture, before pottery, before almost any other domestic technology we associate with civilization. The bed might be older than the fire pit stayed lit around it, but raised beds, the kind lifted off the ground, come from somewhere completely different: status. In ancient Egypt, ordinary people slept on woven mats or low platforms close to the floor. The wealthy slept on elevated wooden bed frames, some with legs carved into the shape of animal paws, and a curved headrest instead of a pillow. A shaped block of wood or stone that kept the head elevated, partly for comfort, but also, historians believe, to protect elaborate hairstyles and to keep insects away from the face. Tutankhamun's tomb contained several ornate beds, gilded with animal-headed frames, meant to carry him into the afterlife exactly as they had carried him through life. Being lifted off the ground while you slept wasn't about comfort first. It was about not being one of the people still sleeping on the dirt. That divide runs almost everywhere. In ancient Rome, the wealthy slept and even ate on the lectus, a raised couch bed with a woven webbing base topped with cushions, while the poor slept on straw pallets on the floor of single-room housing. Meanwhile, in Japan, the futon developed along an entirely different philosophy. A padded mat laid directly on tatami flooring at night and folded away every morning, turning the same room into a bedroom, a dining room, and a sitting room depending on the hour. It wasn't a lesser version of a Western bed. It was a completely different relationship between the body and the floor, one that treated the ground as something to work with, not something to escape. And here's the tangent that loops back into the main story. For most of human history, even people who did have raised beds were not sleeping the way we do now, alone, in one uninterrupted 8-hour block. Historian A. Roger E. Kirch's research into pre-industrial Europe found extensive written references to a first sleep and a second sleep, two separate sleep periods split by an hour or more of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night, used for prayer, conversation, or simply lying awake in the dark. That pattern only disappeared once artificial lighting extended the evening and pushed sleep into a single compressed block. The bed didn't just change shape over history, it changed what sleep itself was supposed to look like. The real turning point toward the bed you're lying on right now was industrial. In 1871, Heinrich Westphal in Germany is widely credited with inventing the modern spring mattress, called the Spinal coil, adapting spring technology already used in horse-drawn carriage seating and repurposing it for sleep. For the first time, a bed could be soft, supportive, and mass-manufactured instead of hand-stuffed with straw, feathers, or horsehair by whoever could afford it. Combined with steel frame manufacturing, the raised sprung bed stopped being an aristocrat's privilege and became a standard household object almost everyone eventually owned. And that is where the story turns, the same way it did with shoes and chairs. Because the modern mattress industry, built to give the body perfect, cushioned, motionless support, has run straight into a body that never evolved for that. Sleep researchers have found that overly soft, deeply cushioned mattresses can encourage poor spinal alignment during sleep, contributing to lower back pain in some sleepers, while historically ground sleeping and floor sleeping populations often report fewer chronic back complaints tied to mattress firmness, because a firmer, closer to the ground surface forces the spine into a more neutral position by default. We spent 100,000 years trying to lift the human body off the cold, hard ground. And now an entire industry sells us memory foam designed to imitate, as closely as possible, the exact firm, even support the ground provided for free the whole time. So here's the honest answer. The bed is not one invention. It's at least three. A pest-resistant plant mattress from Sibudu Cave 77,000 years ago, a gilded status symbol in Egyptian tombs, and a steel spring industrial product from 1871 Germany, each solving a different version of the same problem. Tonight, somewhere, a factory is vacuum sealing memory foam into a box. And somewhere else, someone is asleep on a woven mat on the floor, spine neutral, body doing exactly what it did in that cave 77,000 years ago. The ground never stopped being the original bed. We just spent 100 centuries trying to leave it.